Reddit. What's the creepiest, unexplainable thing you've experienced that still haunts you to this day? Back in the late 1990s, I used to supervise a crew doing trauma scene work. We would go into buildings after homicide, suicide, unattended deaths, accidental deaths, fire death, or pretty much any messed up thing that could happen inside a building, home, or office. The following story happened on one of those scenes. I have a few others that have really stuck with me, but this one was probably more the works of evil spirits than others that were just sad. We often got dispatched out sometimes with little details, only like vehicle damage to structure with fatality, or fire damage structure with multiple fatalities. Sometimes it was very vague, like death inside home. We were dispatched to a single family house in the outskirts of Los Angeles, a working class neighborhood with homes built probably in the early 1950s. Not a bad rundown section, but just an area where families lived, quiet, unassuming area. We arrived to the site. It was a ranch-style home with a sweeping driveway to the street. The garage door was open, and an older lady was sitting inside the garage smoking. I walked up to her and introduced myself and said, "I am sorry for your loss. We are here to help clean up and do whatever we can to help you." I can tell she is nervous, but in most of these situations, we run into people crying, shock, or just stone quiet and unable to speak. Most of the time, they have someone there to help them, like a family friend, family member, or neighbor. However, she was all alone. She looked very uneasy, and I can see that she has a sofa, TV on a stand, and clothes piled up in her garage. I asked her if she would like to show me the area where the incident occurred. She said to me, "I'm not going back in that house." She then points to a front bedroom window and said that is the room. I did not know what happened there. As usual, I wasn't given much details. Not that I needed to know, but sometimes it helped knowing if we were dealing with a murder, suicide, or child death. I start to ask her if there was anything in that room that might be affected that she would like for us to save or secure for her. She said she didn't care about anything in that house, and she was not going back inside. I was just thinking to myself, this is sometimes pretty typical. No one likes to go back inside where loved ones were lost. She starts to tell me a story that made my hair on the back of my neck stand up. She said that her son killed himself in that room. She said that there were evil spirits in that house. I just said, "I am sorry." She said, "No, you don't understand." She said that a year ago, her other son killed himself inside the house too. The demons attacked him and took him too. She also said that a few years before, that her husband killed himself in the house too. To me, in all the people I have met in situations where loved ones were lost, you get a sense of grief and sometimes mental illness. I didn't get mental illness from her. What I got was a poor woman scared out of her mind. I asked her if she wanted me to call anyone for her. She said that either a family member or a friend was coming to take her away. I can't remember exactly what she said. I asked her to sign our paperwork, allowing us to do what we needed to do, and asked her if there was anything she wouldn't want us to dispose of. She said, "You can just burn this place down for all I care." I gathered my crew and we suited up to go inside. We entered the room and it was a smaller bedroom, blue painted walls, a little on the messy side. There was a pool of blood at the foot of the bed, vomit on the bed and on one side of the bedroom walls. The entire wall was written in blood. We could only make out some words as it almost didn't seem like it was in English. We later found out from a neighbor that the son, who was an adult son, had drank acid and then slit his throat and expired sitting on the bed. We cut out the carpet, wrapped the mattress up, and cleaned up the room so there was no longer any traces of what was left behind. During the time we worked, the old lady took off and we locked up the house. The thing is, we were in the house for a few hours, and the feeling inside the house was like that of being in a cave or something. The air was thick. The smell inside the house was sick. More than stale, but pungent and foul. We all felt like we wanted to get out of there in a hurry. The way that the old lady was scared to go back inside, the fact that the house took her husband and 2 sons. I had not been a huge believer in evil lingering inside a place until then. I honestly felt it and still remember it today. When I was 14, my parents and I took a trip to Los Angeles and stayed in this hotel. We didn't book expensive because we were only passing through, so the hotel was kind of run down. Like the elevator sometimes wouldn't close. We stayed for a day, and it was good, but it was at exactly 3:10 in the morning when the thing happened. You know how sometimes you wake up and just instantly know the time like you have an internal clock? I was right on when I actually checked the time, and I had this uneasy gut-clenching feeling, kind of like I was paralyzed. But I knew I didn't have sleep paralysis or anything like it, so that was strange. We were on one of the higher floors, and there was a community bathroom in the hall. This laughing suddenly started coming from the ceiling, and I was freaking the fuck out because my parents were still asleep. Like resonating through the ceiling and the walls, this really faint, childish laughter. I honestly don't know what possessed me to do it, but I went to the window and I opened it because I just had this sense that something wasn't right. I looked to my left and I saw this woman open her window. I could only see that she was wearing this nightgown and brown hair that kind of shielded her face. It was really dark other than the city lights. And I kid you not, she turned and jumped out the fucking window. I swear to God, she jumped right in front of me, and I heard screaming on the way down. Immediately, I started screaming too, and my parents woke up, and I told them what had happened. So we immediately went to reception, and they called the police. Police got there, went to where I said she had jumped, and found nothing. No body, no anything. They went to the room a couple down from ours to the left, and it wasn't even occupied. Found out later after we got home that the hotel was the Hotel Cecil. Scariest situation I've ever been in. My grandfather was a barred man, alcoholic, extremely violent, tried to kill my grandmother in front of their kids. One of his less horrible acts was abandoning my grandmother with their 6 kids, all under the age of 12. Some of his kids maintained minimal contact with him. He lived about 30 or 40 miles from my grandmother and the 2 kids who'd stayed in the area. When he was in his 80s, he was hospitalized and then passed away in the middle of the night. In the morning, his oldest child, one of my aunts, went to the morgue to identify the body and fill out paperwork. On her way, she stopped by my grandmother's to break the news. When she came in, my grandmother said, "Oh, it's a sad day. He died just past midnight, I imagine." My grandmother had begun to show some signs of dementia or just basic old age, and so the weird comments weren't too out of character. And my aunt assumed that the hospital one of her siblings had already called to tell their mother the news. My aunt shook it off and drove to the morgue. When she saw the death certificate, she was shocked to see the time of death listed as 12:10 a.m. On her way home, she stopped back at my grandmother's and asked her who had called her to tell her the news, and asked why she said that she thought he died just past midnight. My grandmother said, "He came to see me at 12:30 and we talked for a spell. He wanted to apologize for all he'd done to me and you kids. I think he made his peace and was able to move on, so I'm glad for that." My grandmother then resumed humming and doing a jigsaw puzzle. When I was in elementary school, I shared a queen-size bed with my older sister and our family dog, a mutt that looked like a short-haired lassie, would sleep at the foot of our bed every night. When I was about 6 years old, I woke up one night around midnight and saw a dark figure standing at the foot of the bed. The figure was entirely in black, without any eyes or a face. I tried to wake my sister up, but she rolled over to go back to sleep. My sister must have accidentally kicked the dog, because the dog woke up and raised her head and started growling at the figure at the foot of the bed. The growling then woke my sister up, and she saw the figure and started screaming. When my parents came into the room and turned the light on, nothing was there. To this day, both my sister and I are adamant that we saw a ghost or other demon in our room. We know we aren't crazy because the dog saw it too.